Okay, so you know what? I'm really excited to get into today's episode. We got a lot to talk about in some ways. So let's get this episode started right now. What's good, y'all? Welcome back to the Titans Rundown. I am your host, Micah McCamey, and this is the most excited I have been to talk about the Tennessee Titans in goodness knows how long. There is so much interesting things happening within the fan base. There's so many interesting things happening within the Titans building itself. And, we just got a lot to talk about. Like, there aren't that many subjects in this episode, but the subjects that I do have lined up have a lot of things to be talked about. And, I'm just really excited to talk about this. So, let us begin. First off, I just wanted to mention this. This isn't even on my notes, so this is just a real quick thing. Apparently, Rand Carthen went on for an interview on the radio this weekend. I think it was 104.5 The Zone, but I heard that it was not really substance, so I'm not really going to talk about it that much. I kind of wish that somebody that was a tougher interviewer would have asked the questions, I'm not saying like Jared Stillman tough or anything stupid like that, but just somebody that would ask hard questions and, challenge him to answer those said questions. Like, obviously, the guy is going to lay pretty low because he wants a job like any of us do. But, like, I'm curious what exactly he has to say about like what's been going on with like Brinker. Is he still good? Is he still good and chill with Brinker? Does he just really not like Amy Adams Strunk? That type of stuff. And I know that, you don't want him to ask, do you like Amy Adams Strunk? But like, if you were to ask, maybe, Rand would give you like a small, like, implying that, like, I'm not the biggest fan, or like, you could get hints that he isn't the biggest fan. But anyway, that was something that happened that I'm not going to spend any more time on because it was kind of a softball interview. But anywho, next thing, this is finally getting to my notes, but Jeffrey Simmons is reportedly wanting out of Tennessee. Apparently, he said he liked a post that was talking about him getting traded to the Patriots as Mike Vrabel's first move, and Jeffrey Simmons liked the post. And now everybody's really concerned about, like, is Jeffrey Simmons gone? Is this beautiful man gone? Is he not coming back and all this stuff? I just want to say that's bull. Anyway, moving on. No, I'm playing. I'm going to go into this. So first off, there's a tweet that Jeffrey Simmons put out right here. I'll show you it. Here it is. But we got to talk about a couple of things that go into this, right? Like, you got to think about the fact that Big Jeff, may have been scrolling through Twitter, and I know that he wasn't mentioned in the post, but like sometimes whenever you're scrolling through Twitter, just looking at other people's posts, you see something like I'm sure that this happens with celebrities all the time. You see something that has your name on it, and you just like it, and you don't give a second thought about it. But I obviously don't think that's completely what happened, and I think Big Jeff may have been lying just a little bit about that. Tic Tac had a really good theory for this. Locked on Titans said that there is a good chance that, he just saw his name and somebody was complimenting him as a player and then he liked it, which honestly, that could also work too as a theory. But like, he's never going to come out and say that he purposefully liked it, obviously. But if you want my personal opinion on it, I don't think it's that big of a deal, honestly. Like, I think that he either mindlessly liked or took it as a compliment of him being a great player. I don't really think that he wants to leave. I mean, like, you're going to go from one dumpster fire of an organization to another organization that's got a long way to go before it's great. Like, come on. He's not going to do that, especially whenever he's in possibly the prime of his career. If he's going to get traded anywhere, he's going to get traded to, like, Philadelphia. We know that place very well. Or Kansas City. I don't think he'd do that. But, like, he would go somewhere that's, like, a serious contender for the Super Bowl. He wouldn't go somewhere like New England, who is still in the middle of a rebuild. But I will say, I do agree, again, with Tic Tac. I was watching his episode recently, that we need to think about trading Big Jeff, as much as I hate that. Look, I love the guy. He's like one of the faces of our franchise. but like at some point we got to start valuing draft picks because like if Brinker was the real mastermind behind the past few drafts, and he's a really good drafter, so like we got to invest in those draft picks, get young guys that we can easily develop, and then make this thing work a lot better than it is right now. And having to trade Big Jeff, hard pill to swallow, but it may help us in the long run. Now, do I think it'll happen? Not a chance. Okay, I think that this administration learned their lesson from trading Kevin Byard and getting rid of Derrick Henry. Not saying that obviously that Kevin Byard was just so much better after he left Tennessee, like somebody like Derrick Henry or AJ Brown was, but like I'm saying that he was a leader in that locker room. Same thing with Derrick Henry, leaders in that locker room. And I think it was very obvious on the field. We lost a little bit of leadership this offseason, and we didn't really adjust well to it. Big Jeff tried to be a leader. Man, I love you, Big Jeff. I'm going in on you in this episode. Just know I love you, but you can sometimes be a little bit of a crybaby. I mean, like, it's fine. All of us have some of those tendencies, but, just wanted to point that out. But anyway, yeah, Jeffrey Simmons rumors, I don't think that they're that valid. And quite frankly, I don't think you should think they're that valid until you are given reason to. He would come out and request a trade, or the Titans will say, or like Teron Davenport or Buck, or heck, even like Schefter would be like, okay, Jeffrey Simmons has requested a trade. Just nothing to, or like until something like that happens, I'm not believing that Big Jeff wants to leave for New England for a second. But anyway, we got to move on to one of the biggest things that's going on in the Titans community right now. GM finalists. Yes, GM candidates. Okay, so we had 10. We had Terrence Gray, John Spytek, Ed Dodds, Ian Cunningham, Mike Borgonzi, and I think I already said Terrence Gray. But then we had 4 more. Those were McKenzie, Dimtroff, I think his name was. It was the former Falcons GM, something like that. 2 former GMs, and then a couple of other assistants. Oh yeah, the Browns assistant GM was also in the running, and then there was one more which I can't remember. But anyway, that's not the point of this. We narrowed it down to the final 6, and these are the 2 that will be getting a second interview. And it has been reported that we could get a new GM candidate as soon as next weekend. And honestly, that would be very relieving if it happened in the weekend and not like on a Tuesday or something, because Tuesdays are the days that I record, or Mondays. Like, I'm actually in a rush to record this one because, it's homecoming for my high school basketball team. So, I got to get this going. But anywho, we have 6 GM finalists, okay? And yes, they were the first 6 that I mentioned, but I did purposefully put them completely out of order so that way you couldn't guess who my favorites and my least favorites are. Okay, so we're going to go from worst to best on who my favorite GM candidates are, okay? So, number 6, worst one, Colts assistant GM, Ed Dodds. I think that this is kind of a consensus across the Titans community, but I don't think it's because we hate Ted Dodds. I mean, the Colts do draft pretty decently, and, he's probably at least a bigger part of that, judging by the fact that he is, the assistant GM. But we're obviously just a little bit concerned about the fact that he could just be Chris Ballard. And if you're wondering what's so wrong with that, well, for context, Chris Ballard has had 2 playoff appearances in the past, 10 years. Before I keep going, by the way, the 10th person that I was thinking of was Matt Berry for the Seahawks. Anyway, I know that was random, but number 6, Ed Dodds again. He could be Chris Ballard, 2 playoff appearances in 9 years, and or no playoff wins either. Not as much intense success with hiring coaches, and again, he's not that aggressive in free agency. He'll re-sign his rookies, but he does not go after positions of need. You're not going to see Chris Ballard going after Calvin Ridley for 4 years, $96 million. and you're not going to see Chris Ballard going after Lloyd Cushenberry for 4 years, $40 million. You're not going to see those moves from that organization, which sometimes can be a good thing. Like, we don't have to worry about him going to make a big time trade for L'Jarius Sneed and making him one of the highest paid corners in the NFL. But we also have to worry about the fact that what if, an aggressive move that he could have made didn't end up working out, So it's like this big, complex of will this happen? Won't this happen? And all of that stuff. But anyway, overall, really do not want this guy. Actually, I think that's a little over exaggerated. I would be fine with this guy. And, overall, not my, I wouldn't be just on here just yelling yes, we got him. We got this dude. But I wouldn't be on here just we hired Reggie McKenzie, for an example of how I would be on here if that were to have happened. Which, by the way, Diana Rossini, you were completely wrong. Totally and disgustingly wrong, honestly. Man, I don't want to get into the rest of that because I think that it's obvious how I feel about that. But anywho, oh yeah, before I move on to the next candidate, well, first off, think about this. I said I would be fine with Ed Dodds. Imagine how I'm gonna feel about the other five on this list. How excited I would be if any of these guys got hired. This is a win-win situation because all of these GM candidates that they picked for the final spot, this was the perfect list. Maybe you could cut off Ed Dodds, but this is the list of people that we want to come be the GM for the Tennessee Titans. Okay, we didn't have any Reggie McKenzies or Matt Berries on this list. We had very solid names, which we will get to. Oh yeah, also if you can notice, I put McNair, Byard, and Eddie George on here, and I gave Eddie the crown because ever since Derrick Henry got that playoff win with the Ravens, if they win a Super Bowl, he's going to be remembered as a Raven, unfortunately. And it's not even because he was, the best with the Ravens, but it's just because, I don't know. It's just because we don't get that much attention, and we didn't get that much attention whenever he was here, but he's going to get a lot of attention as a Raven, so just putting that out there. But yeah, I know I'm addressing this, 12 minutes into the episode, but I just wanted to put that out there. So anyway, moving on with the GM ranking. Number 5, we have John Spytek, assistant GM of the Bucks. Okay, so I would be excited about this one. You see what I mean by this list is strong? I would be pumped about this guy. This dude is, I don't know. He has a very cool name. The Bucks always draft pretty well. They aren't they aren't as aggressive in free agency as you'd expect, which is why he's here at number 5. But I don't know. There's just something about this dude that I'm just yes, that is a football guy right there. This guy is going to be good. He's going to go places. And the Bucks, if you were to tell me this 10 years ago, I would think that you were a fool. But now the Bucks are a pretty well-ran organization right now. They are genuinely one of the better-ran organizations in the NFL right now. You take a look at them the past 3 years even. They've just consistently won division titles year after year after year. I think ever since year 1 of Brady in Tampa, they have won the division every single year after that point. Just think about that for a second. Every single year of the Tom Brady era, or ever since Tom Brady joined, this team has been a playoff team. It really goes to show you that one quarterback can really change everything, or heck, even two, with Tom Brady and Baker Mayfield both being good quarterbacks for this team. So, anywho, but you can tell this team is very good at drafting. Now, do I trust him drafting a quarterback? I don't know, because again, no, wait, scratch that. I don't even think that he was in office whenever they drafted Jameis Winston with the first pick. But I don't know. Overall, John Spytek, very solid candidate. Would not mind at all if he was the higher rank. And he's at number 5. Okay. I know that I keep on exaggerating how strong this list is, but like, I just don't know how else to say it. I'm very relieved that it's this strong because, like, if you were to ask me, like, when Ryan Carthen got fired, what this list would be like, I would probably guess like the Reggie McKenzies and the Matt Berries of the world, the ones that really aren't getting that much traction because either they've had stints as GMs that didn't end well, or they just weren't good candidates in general and they weren't being really noticed. But I was surprised to see this final list. So at number 4, we have Ian Cunningham, Bears assistant GM. I think y'all know why he's at number 4. Anywho, but we got to talk about this. This assistant GM has also had intense experience with the Eagles, and it's not like that the Bears have made a bad roster. It's just that Caleb Williams, is still a rookie and he's still developing. Depends on who they hire. If they hire like a, let me try and think of a random name, like a Marcus Freeman out of Notre Dame, very good college coach. I don't know if he'll be able to cut it in the NFL, or somebody else like that. But if then it wouldn't end up working out that well, and this Bears front office would be a joke. But if you were to get like a Mike McCarthy or a Ben Johnson, then I think this team is seriously going to go places. Like, I genuinely believe that that the Bears team is on the cusp of a breakout. But anywho, that is my only concern about this dude, is because he is in the Bears organization, and there's a very good chance that they just are not that good, or that they just don't really know how to draft and are incompetent and all this other stuff. So but we got to talk about the resume of this front office. Like, they got all of those picks from the Panthers' number 1 pick, which honestly the Panthers might see as worth it now because Bryce Young has finally developed. But the Bears still got Caleb Williams. They still got Rome Odunze. Like, they still got some pretty solid players out of this deal. It's not like that, they traded for 3 first-round picks and they drafted random dudes that were just ended up being nobodies. Like, they still got like a young core out of that trade. So that wasn't a bad trade. They've been very aggressive in free agency, which most of them have paid off, at least from what I can tell. And overall, like, I think that they have a good GM in Ryan Poles. So, like, I don't expect Ian Cunningham to be that much different. Like, I genuinely believe Ian Cunningham is one of the strong candidates on this list and one of the strong candidates in this entire cycle, which, again, strong candidate at number 4, not even in the top half of the list. So, like, overall, very, very happy to see him getting an interview, and that's really all I got about him. Okay, number 3 is Terrence Gray. Okay, so I'm going to rush here because, we're dang near 20 minutes into the episode, and I got to leave this house in 10 minutes. So Terrence Gray, he is a very solid player personnel. The Bills draft well. They do well in free agency. Like, that is somebody that I want. Terrence Gray, very solid. The only reason that he's not higher on this list is because the first 2 are just so good and, perfect for this job that, like, I just couldn't resist, right? So, anyway, but still, I like Terrence Gray. He would still end up being a very good GM. And, like, these last 3, I would be how I was in the L'Jarius Sneed trade episode video. Like, that's how excited I would be on here if we ended up hiring one of these 3. So, at number 2, I have the Packers Vice President of Player Personnel, John Eric Sullivan. Now, obviously, I said last week that, like, he's the only way that the Brinker era can work out and all this stuff, but I've gone back on my word since then because, like, again, just because somebody doesn't have a phenomenal connection with the real man in charge, that doesn't mean that it still can't work out. Like, we've seen situations like that across the NFL, so I was just kind of talking out of my tail on that one, mostly just because, I was still letting the Carthen firing sink in and just like, why did we not give him more time? And it was before some of the other stuff came out about like, maybe he just, wasn't really doing anything. I mean, we talked about the lazy thing, but like we were not talking about, but we were talking about other things that weren't about like what he did. Anywho, but John Eric Sullivan, really good connection with Brinker. He is a very, very solid scout. Apparently helped out getting the trade to the trade for L'Jarius Sneed out. Or sorry, no, wait, whoa. I don't know where my mind went. Sorry about that. No, he was one of the first people to see Jordan Love. Apparently, he also really liked Matt LaFleur. So, like, this dude has kind of been one of the bigger brains in the Packers organization. And again, if we get two dudes that were from the Packers organization to join together and make a Packers clone, like I know that's a little bit over the top, but like just do something similar to what the Packers do, then like I would be completely fine with that. Actually, I think that the Packers potentially have the best strategy in the entirety of the NFL. You go, you get a quarterback, okay, and then like 2 or 3 years out from when he's going to be done, you go get another quarterback, let him develop as much as he can behind the said veteran quarterback, and then you start him, and then we profit, right? But like that's something I would be interested in. And again, overall, Eric Sullivan, solid candidate. Okay, number 1, Mike Borgonzi. He is the assistant GM of the Chiefs. I think that y'all saw this one coming, honestly. Okay, I don't even need to say that much. Helped out in the L'Jarius Sneed trade, or was the communicator at least. So I think that's how he's gotten this far, just because I think that Brinker and him have a good connection from that. But man, he is obviously a very good scout. Chiefs, top-notch organization. And this dude he's kind of like what Adam Peters was last year, where it was like he's been one of the top candidates for like the past couple of years. So yeah. Okay, so I went through that list, okay, and just real quick, I want to address the Dak Prescott rumors about like him getting traded to the Titans if Deion Sanders gets hired by the Cowboys. Y'all aren't going to like this, but I do genuinely believe that this could happen. I know that y'all aren't going to like that, but like I could see a package of like first pick, then we get 2 firsts and Dak Prescott. Again, would I prefer it? No, but I think that the favorite for the job right now would probably be John Eric Sullivan from the Packers. So like you get 2 Packers minds in there, okay? I could definitely see a situation that plays out where we bring in Dak, start him for a year. Whoa. Sorry about that. Start him for a year without any QB competition. Then the next year, we draft a quarterback, whether it's late first round, early second round, or heck, even at the top of the draft. Do something like that, and then let this said quarterback develop behind Dak Prescott, and then once his contract is up, or once he's just not playing well anymore, get rid of him and then start the young quarterback, the young buck, as they would say. But like, I don't prefer it, but I could definitely see a universe where this does seriously happen. I know that it makes you barf. I promise you, I don't feel strongly about it either, but it's a possibility. So anyway, that's today's episode. I have Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok all under the Titans Rundown if y'all want to go check those out. I'll also have the Vols Rundown linked in the description because, well, I started the Vols Rundown and I've been very excited to do those episodes. I'm still trying to learn like how I can talk about the Vols because like obviously, or well, not obviously, I don't want to sound too cocky, but like I'm starting to learn how to talk about the Titans easier and easier as the episodes go on. I'm a little bit more energetic in these episodes because of that. But, I'm still learning with the Vols, and I promise you that I can, make it as quality as this is. But anyway, that's going to do it all for me. This has been a rundown of your Tennessee Titans. I love y'all, and tighten up.